Hello, hello to those joining us for the first time. You're listening to 1-2 Punch, the best FGC radio show. I say that because probably we're the only FGC radio show. I'm your host, Zorine. I hope you enjoy your stay. To listeners who tuned in last week, welcome back. Glad to have you back with us. If you're new to the show, welcome. Basically, this is a radio show in which I talk about all things related to the fighting game community, fighting games in general. We'll cover like news, releases, what players are up to, tournaments, a little bit of everything from the FGC. Before we get into it, a very quick shout out to our sponsors who make this show possible. Pwn.gg is a site that provides all the odds and stats for esports betting, with its CSGO info being just the start. The site examines players, maps, and teams to provide in-depth statistics for bettors, and we have a special promo code for today's listeners. If you use the code 12punch, that's 12punch, no spaces, no caps or anything, you'll get 50% off a 12-month subscription as well as a 2-week free trial. So there you have it. So this is our second ever episode of 1-2 Punch, and I'd like to thank everyone who listened in last week. I had some great feedback. Shout outs to Josh M, Beer Smoke, Temple Nut, Tenderoni Tony for sending through their thoughts. Really appreciate it. Remember, if you have any feedback or questions about fighting games that you'd like me to answer, or you just want to express your feelings about the show, hit us up. You know, I'm on Twitter at Zorine. That's at Zorine. We also have a Twitter account at Esports Network. That's at Esports Network. No spaces, no underscores. Or you can use the hashtag 12punch. So, today's topics, we have quite a lot of things to talk about. Firstly, of course, happy Street Fighter V Arcade Edition Day, so we're going to go into that in a bit. Also, a lot of new announcements came from the Nintendo Direct Mini last week as well. They dropped a couple of unexpected things on us, which was great. Evo Japan coming up, of course. DragonBall FighterZ, the game that everyone's talking about right now, open beta kicked off. Square Enix launched the open beta for the PS4 exclusive Dissidia Final Fantasy NT. We have more player movement, which I will talk about as well. And Street Fighter Sagat named the ambassador of Saga City in Japan. So it's probably early days to talk extensively about Street Fighter V Arcade Edition at the moment, but we'll get to that game in another segment soon. But I'm real curious to know what everyone's thoughts on Dragon Ball FighterZ. Oh my god, I keep saying that, Dragon Ball FighterZ. How many people run into that problem when they're talking about the game? Like, even just typing it, I have that problem where the Z just comes in automatically. But anyway, Dragon Ball FighterZ. I recently caved and checked out some extensive game footage, even though prior to that, I was kind of like on a media blackout. I was like, I don't want to see anything about this game. I saw the initial trailer and that got me excited enough. That's all I need to see. But January 26th is just around the corner now, and between Arcade Edition and this game coming out, it just feels like there's so much happening in the FGC. So much. Really excited to talk about it. We're going to get into it in just a minute after this quick ad break. See you in a bit. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to 1-2 Punch. I'm your host, Zorine. Let's start with the biggest news of today, no doubt. Everybody's talking about it. That's right, I'm referring to SNK Heroines Tag Team Frenzy. Just kidding. I am talking, of course, about Street Fighter V Arcade Edition being out today. Now, for those of us playing on PS4, like myself, the Arcade Edition patch will be released today for existing owners of Street Fighter V, you know, people who picked up the game at launch. Again, me. But the patch is, you must be warned, get this, 21 gigs. Yes, 21 gigs, massive. This was confirmed by Capcom's community and esports manager Matthew Edwards on Twitter, reported via Event Hubs. Edwards also confirmed on Twitter that the unpatched disc version of Arcade Edition is version 03.000, so that's 3 zeros, and the patched version is 3.001. So like 2011. So there is a day one patch for Arcade Edition, and of course there is like the Arcade Edition patch itself. For people who already have Street Fighter V. If you forgot what that includes, I'll get to that in just a minute. He wasn't able to confirm a time for the update. I assume by the time I finish talking and you are all listening to this that it's already out. Server maintenance is happening today as well. But he just did say that it was going live at some point. January 16th in the United States. But the servers are down this morning. So that's also January 17th for everyone else in Asia, Australia, New Zealand who are a day ahead. So to recap, if you already own Street Fighter V, then you'll be getting this massive patch that will add all the new modes and the second V trigger move, but not the new characters. You will still need to earn them using fight money or purchase them separately using real world money. But other than that, it's a pretty sizable update. You might want to clear out some space or upgrade your PS4's hard drive for it. I definitely need to get around to doing that as well. So as I mentioned last week, Street Fighter V Arcade Edition includes a bunch of new stuff. There's extra battle, arcade mode, gallery, the second V trigger, other gameplay tweaks. Of course, the patch notes are out. Capcom talked about it in their live stream. So if you want to look them up, they're available on the internet. And with the launch of Arcade Edition, Capcom's also releasing the new extra battle challenge. So players who complete all 4 challenges over the span of 1 month will unlock a new costume for Rashid. The costume itself is a beautiful Joe crossover, and Challenge 1 opens today. It will be available for players to complete from January 16th until January 25th, and then Challenge 2 will run from January 26th until February 1st, etc., etc. So it's like just under a week that players get to complete all 4 challenges. For each challenge, sorry. And once you complete all of them, you unlock the costume for Rashid. But if you miss one of the weeks, then like you're done. Like you can't complete the challenge at all. So if you miss week 1, like don't even bother going to week 2 is what I mean. Like you have to complete all 4 of them, right? So, and there's a limited window for each one. So if you want that Rashid costume, beautiful Joe crossover, be sure to jump into that challenge as soon as you can, just to give yourself extra time to do that. Basically, it's Capcom's way of providing incentives for players to jump right into Arcade Edition, I guess. If you want to check out the second V-trigger every character is getting, Capcom also recently released a trailer on YouTube. They showed it over the weekend, showcasing all the new V-trigger moves, so you can check that out. And a heads up that new character Sakura is coming through with the update as well. We know that she got revealed recently, but she'll be available for everyone to play from January 16th to January 23rd. That includes playing her in story mode, and she'll have all of her costumes and jazz and all that stuff unlocked and available for players to try out and, you know, get hands-on with the character. But any experience or money that you earn while using her during this period will be lost or kind of hidden away until you purchase or unlock her. Unlock her, sorry. Oh my god. Unlock her. What a tease, Capcom, please. So yeah, Sakura's there, and of course, really exciting, of course, Arcade Edition. I'm real curious who is going to actually fork out the money to buy the game again. If you're one of those people, please let me know. I'm not going to buy the game again. I'm just going to like patch it up, you know, patch up my existing Street Fighter and play the game as is. I know there's that new stage that's also available. But like, it's cool to see that Capcom's paying attention to, you know, the game and still giving us fresh new content to get excited. I think Arcade Edition is just what, you know, the scene needed to reinvigorate interest and draw like players into the game again. And hopefully it even draws new players into the scene, you know, that'd be really great to see. So I know a lot of people have been talking on Twitter about tweaks to their characters, who got buffed, who got nerfed. But overall, I'm also curious to see how this will impact the competitive scene. You know, personally, I play a low-tier character, so, you know, shout outs to Ed players out there. But hopefully, I'm hoping that the tier list gets a bit shaken up, you know, and we don't see players who are character loyalists struggle to make their characters do something, I guess, in competitive play. So thank you to Capcom for, you know, putting effort into Arcade Edition and giving some love to the community. Next up, we have Evo Japan coming up. Yes, I will keep talking about this because until it happens, because quite frankly, it's a big deal. You know what's funny? Ever since I mentioned in the last episode, the whole sign-up thing about like, if you are going to Evo Japan and you signed up on Smash GG, like please don't do that. Like just, you know, it messes up TOs and it messes up, you know, the brackets and stuff. Well, the signups have actually gone down in number on Smash GG. Not like by like a huge amount, maybe like 10 registered attendees dropped down per game. It makes me wonder if that guilt trip I did about not screwing over the TOs actually did something and it worked. But for players not intending to travel to Japan, Don't sign up if you're not going to be there. It's quite amusing though. And I've seen a lot of players have already made their travel, have traveled to Japan in preparation for Evo, and best of luck to everyone there. Really rooting for you. I did want to bring up another issue that's been a hot topic though for Evo Japan, which I didn't have time to talk about last week, and that is the finals day's tickets fiasco. It seems that a lot of people were expecting Mandalay Bay style tickets, but got something a lot smaller. For those who don't know or have been to Evo in America, Mandalay Bay is where the finals have taken place in more recent Evo events, and it's like this huge venue, you know, hundreds and hundreds of seats. I'd say like maybe like more than 1,000 seats available. You know, it's like an arena style seating, and the stage is in the middle, and like you can see everything. The production is fantastic. It's great. Like, I can't praise it enough. I never thought I'd see fighting games on the big screen like that. It's amazing. Maybe we've been a little bit spoiled though, because the Evo Japan Finals Day tickets kind of were the opposite of that. Apparently, tickets were a little bit on the expensive side, so they were around $80 USD, I believe. For S tier seating, which is like right up on the stage, and then it gets, you know, a little bit cheaper after that if you go to A tier and B, C, etc. But they still sold out very quickly, despite how expensive they were, which isn't a surprise given that over 2,300 people alone entered Street Fighter V, but the venue capacity for the finals, from the map that I've seen, was like 150. So, you know, that begs the question, why were more tickets not made available? Why was a bigger venue not chosen? Was it a space issue? Was a larger venue just not available or feasible at all? You know, either way, I feel like it should have been communicated, to the community, especially for folks who like are traveling across the world to attend Evo Japan. It's just a shame that, you know, something like this had to happen. Like, I am going to hazard a guess it was probably like they weren't able to secure like a big venue for the finals day. But just to reiterate, day 1 and 2 of Evo Japan, people can go spectate for free. But if you want to spectate day 3 in person and attend the venue, you need to purchase a ticket, which, you know, as we know, allegedly sold out in a few minutes. You know, there was a lot of confusion, and I think the sales process itself was also a bit confusing for a lot of people. Like, there was no confirmation email sent out, etc. Like, it just seems like a bit of a mess, which is a shame. But people I've spoken to have said that they're organizing their own viewing parties, you know, which is, again, it's so FGC, but also kind of a shame because there was a lot of hype leading up to Evo Japan, and I think it would have been nice to have, you know, all these international people who are visiting for the tournament in the one room and getting hype over the finals and all that stuff. It would have been really great to see, but I digress. Anyway, Evo Japan, so pools taking place, day 1 and 2 are taking place in Sunshine City Bunker Hall in Ikebukuro, and then the finals will be taking place in Akiba Square in Akihabara, of course, the mecca for games and anime and otaku culture, I guess you could say, in Tokyo. But best of luck to everyone who's going there, and I really hope that Evo Japan, you know, end up doing something like even organizing like a couple of viewing parties where people can sync up. That'd be really great to see. But not an easy event to organize, I suppose, especially, you know, in another country, as it were. So, yeah, hopefully that gets sorted out, and hopefully we see more news about the Evo Japan Finals Day. We'll be right back after this quick break. Hello, hello. Welcome back to 1-2 Punch. I'm your host, Zorine. I was just enjoying the cool music. We talked about Evo Japan, but let's go a little bit more local. This weekend is Frosty Fausting's 10's weekend. That's right, Frosty Fausting's 10 is the local tournament that is happening in Elmhurst, Illinois. Almost every fighting game will be there. Street Fighter V, Tekken 7, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, Injustice 2, Super Smash Bros. Melee, Wii U, KOF, plenty of side games, Skullgirls, Windjammers. It's a very community-centric event. So, yeah, that's happening. I do believe over 1,200 players have signed up. Looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. So if you can't make it to Evo Japan and you are in the States, feel free to wander on over and check that tournament out or catch the live stream. I'm sure there'll be a lot of action happening there this weekend. In related news for tournaments happening in the US, Combo Breaker is also a little bit more further away, but I did want to mention it just because, you know, it is one of the biggest FGC events to happen in the US, so I think it warrants mentioning. It is scheduled to take place May 25th, 27th. They're also taking commentator submissions at the moment. So if you're interested in commentating, you can go to the Combo Breaker website and submit, you know, your audition or reel or whatever, like your info, you know, for those budding, aspiring commentators. I like to encourage that because I like new talent coming up, new blood. New blood is always good. So if you're interested in doing something like that, you know, prepare a reel, go give it a shot, you know. New blood is always nice to have in the scene. Let's move on to big announcements that happened in the past week since we last spoke. So Arc System Works hosted the Fighting Game Award 2017 event. It happened on January 13th, took place in Japan. The event actually was hosted in Esports Square Akihabara, which is great. And it featured their games BlazBlue Central Fiction as well as Guilty Gear XRD Rev 2. Side note, I actually wasn't aware of this, but Arc System Works produced a hilarious series of videos introducing and interviewing players for both their games. So the event itself was not only a platform with which they used to announce like new things and patches and updates coming up, but also like they also did some exhibition matches, invited some of the best players in Japan. You know, they were all there. If you haven't seen the video and you want an intro into the Arc System Works, like, I guess, player base and the pros who are there, like, check it out. It's on YouTube. It's called like Fighting Game Award 2017 Entries Introduction. It's got English captions, which are actually really well done. So props to whoever translated it. Like, they localized it flawlessly in English. You can check it out there. And it's got players for both the games, BlazBlue Central Fiction, and it also introduces the pros for Guilty Gear XRD Rev 2. So Arc System Works has actually got an amazing sense of humor. I only discovered this recently watching some of their videos. I'm just thinking about it now makes me laugh. But like, they're executives who do like their videos and talk to the community and like make announcements and stuff. They're actually really funny. Like, it's a bunch of like dudes sitting around looking like Yakuza and just talking about like how they're going to work hard to bring like the best gaming experience to the community. It really actually made me want to like pick up Guilty Gear or BlazBlue. I think Guilty Gear appeals to me more, but yeah, so the developer also made a few announcements at the Fighting Game Award 2017 event, which was hosted in 2018, but you know, 2017 being looking back at the year just past. And they made some announcements for both of their respective games. So the launch date for BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle on PS4 and Nintendo Switch was confirmed. It is coming out on June 5th in North America and May 31st in Japan. The game will have 20 characters at launch. We saw the initial trailers at EVO. I remember the hype. Oh my gosh, that game looked amazing. And there will be 20 more characters added later on as DLC. They've already announced some DLC characters, including Blake Belladonna for Ruby. And Arc System Works also showed a trailer at the event that showed the silhouettes of the other characters who they have yet to announce, which means that the internet has probably figured out about 90% of that cast by now. So well done. And that game actually looks pretty sweet. Cross-tag battle, you know, we've got characters from all sorts of different franchises, which is really interesting, really great. We've got the Ruby characters, you know, the Persona characters. It escapes me what other games there are, but I just remember being really hyped when the Persona character Yu appeared because that was super sick. Saw that at EVO. Who remembers that trailer? My gosh, it was such a great moment. But yes, Cross Tag Battle, PS4 and Switch, coming out on June 5th in North America. So that's another game to look forward to. Man, what a year for fighting games, huh? We've got so much happening right now. But anyway, on to the next big announcement that happened. SNK Heroines Tag Team Frenzy was revealed for the Switch during Nintendo's Nintendo Direct Mini. evidently, based on the name of the game, it's being developed by SNK and it will be published by NIS America. NIS America later confirmed that the game will also be coming to PS4, thank God. Just a side note, I'm really curious how fighting games on the Switch pan out. Like, do people actually play on the Joy-Con controllers? Because I feel like that's an accident just waiting to happen. Like, both for like RSI issues and also like the controller itself might break under the repetitive stress. I don't know. I'm real curious. Like, if you play fighting games on the Switch, please let me know. Hit us up. #12punch. Real curious because I just can't picture it. Like, I just can't picture the logic, the logistics of how something like that would work, playing a fighting game on the Joy-Cons. But anyway, I digress. As the name suggests, SNK Heroines Tag Team Frenzy. Gosh, what's with these long names? It's a 2v2 fighter. So players, of course, control like a team of 2 characters. They can tag in and out, do some special like thing. I forgot the name of it now, but it's like a combo extender. And the cast so far has featured female characters from SNK's fighting games. So far we've seen Kula, Athena, Yuri, Leona, and Mai, characters who are perhaps best known for their appearances in King of Fighters. Really cool to see a tag team style game come back with just like 2 characters. I think 2 is a good number for me. But players have the ability to switch between each of their 2 chosen characters during a round. Graphics wise, the game uses 3D models, but it's still a 2.5D fighter, I guess. So picture something similar to King of Fighters 14. If you haven't seen the trailer, check it out. But be prepared for way more sparkles and rainbows. Seriously, I was like, when I first saw this trailer, I thought it was like a prank, except it's not April Fool's. I would have been like, wait, is this April Fool's? Is this a joke? Because it's all very glittery and just really colorful and pastel, just really shiny looking. And I wonder if players will take this seriously, or how seriously people will take this game. It's very different to the existing fighting games that are currently on the circuit, just based on visuals alone. I do like the idea of, having like an all-female fighting game cast. We saw that with Skullgirls. I thought it was really cool, and seeing that with SNK's tag team frenzy, I think, is an interesting idea. And furthermore, like, players will be able to customize the looks of their characters with cosmetic accessories. So it's all very cutesy. It's all very flashy. I mean, I love customizing characters. I did that. Tekken 7 did that so well. It was a lot of fun having that extra layer of stuff that you could do, with a character beyond just, playing the game, of course. But it was just like a nice touch, a nice way for players to really, like, I don't know, make their character feel like their own. Like Street Fighter V doesn't have anything like that, so I can't speak to how that community feels about it. But I know, like, as a Tekken player, I loved having the ability to customize my character and make them look, in a specific way, so that, especially when I was playing in arcades, for Tekken 5, you swipe your card, your character comes up, and people see the costume and they're like, oh, it's that person playing, or oh, it's Zorine, like, she's on the machine, like, you can just tell by looking at the customizations, which I think was just a nice little touch and a nice little way for you as a player to identify with that character that you have. Yeah. Feels weird saying that, but anyway, maybe it's taken the waifu thing too far. I don't know. But Tag Team Frenzy, or SNK Heroines Tag Team Frenzy, sorry to say the full name, will be released in summer 2018. So we don't have a firm release date yet, but we know it's coming out this year, and it will be available on the Nintendo Switch and PS4. I also wonder if there will be cross-platform play in between the 2 platforms available for the game, just because, it's something that we saw for the Street Fighter V, of course, being that players on PS4 could play with players on the PC, but, PC is a little bit more flexible. I'm going to go ahead and say I don't think that we'll see cross-platform play for this game, just because Nintendo is notoriously, like, not difficult, but like, they're very strict in the way they regulate their online, online community, online interactions between players. We know it's a very family-friendly platform and all that stuff. So, real curious if that's going to happen, but I'm going to say no. I don't think it's going to happen. But nonetheless, if there is a fighting games community on the Switch, this is definitely one game to look out for, I would say. SNK Heroines Tag Team Frenzy. Hopefully we'll see more characters get announced soon, but so far, like, everyone seems to be pretty excited about it. I don't know, like, I love Athena. Athena was like one of my mains in KOF, even though, that game is notoriously difficult and I haven't played it for years. Still, looking forward to the release of that game. In fact, 2018 is going to be a crazy year for the games coming out. We'll get back to that in just a minute, though, after this very quick ad break. I think I know that song from somewhere. Anyway, welcome back to 1-2 Punch. I'm your host, Zorine. Don't forget, if you want to talk about the show, if you have any questions you'd like to ask, anything that you'd like me to address on the show that's related to fighting games, you can tweet at us. You can tweet me personally on Twitter at Zorine, that's at Zorine, or you can hit up Esports Network, which is at Esports Network, or you can use the hashtag 1-2punch, just the numbers 1-2punch. I guess that's 12 punch, really. 12 punch, but not as catchy as 1-2 punch. Anyway, back to the news. So, the Nintendo Direct Mini revealed SNK Heroines Tag Team Frenzy. They also dropped a quick little note there that the old school Neo Geo fighting game, Art of Fighting 2, is out now on the Nintendo Switch. I think it's like $8 or something on the eShop. The game was originally released in 1994 and is kind of notorious for its brutal difficulty, even by SNK standards, which is saying something, right? But that difficulty probably drove a lot of players away from the game. But anyway, there's an old school fighting game out on the Switch. If you want to check it out, Art of Fighting 2 is available for a little quick $8. Yeah, nice and easy. Anyway, on to more recent fighting games. DragonBall FighterZ, the open beta has officially started as of last week, and it's supposed to end tonight. A lot of people have been speculating whether the beta will be extended, but actually, no, it won't be. However, Bandai Namco, sorry, I almost said Bamco, that's what I call them, colloquially when I'm talking with friends. Bandai Namco US posted an apology on Twitter yesterday, saying sorry about the issues. They said, "Hey fighters," with a capital Z. "Sorry for the lack of communication and thanks for your patience with the OBT, which is the open beta testing period, issues. We know many of you are still having online related problems, but rest assured that the devs are working hard to fix said issues. Stay tuned for more details and thanks once again." So they have acknowledged that they've seen all the people who have brought up the issues that they're encountering with online. I know a lot of people have said that they weren't able to get matches, or that the servers have been down every single time they tried, which is, not ideal. But the publisher confirmed that the beta would not be extended, but that we may see a second round of testing afterwards, which is great. I am all for testing to make sure the online experience is near perfect at launch. This is why I do not play beta periods of games for the most part. I like to go into games with a fresh start, with everything's polished and supposedly working perfectly. And a part of me actually can't believe that in the year 2018, we still run into server issues like this. Come on, it's 2018. I feel like the games industry, based on everything that's happened so far, we should have perfected this by now, matchmaking and server issues and all this stuff. Surely by now we've managed to finally nail it, right? After all these different game releases, all these game launches. And it's not like it's Arc System Works first time launching a online fighting game, right? And it's not Bandai Namco's either. Either way, glad to see that they're, working on it before the game comes out on January 26th, I believe. And hopefully by then all the issues are solved and we can play online without worrying about server issues. Lag is another story though. Still, the netcode is something that's really important. Would like to know if you yourself have been having any issues, or if you've been having a great time with DragonBall FighterZ and you had no issues at all. In fact, I'd like to know more about that because that would reassure me more about the game. Especially in this day and age where a lot of people like myself spend a lot of time just playing games online now. And that may be why I pick up more games on PC, because they're more likely to have better netcode, because PC is usually wide and all that jazz. But anyway. Square Enix launched the open beta for the PS4 exclusive Dissidia Final Fantasy NT. The beta was launched a few days ago, and unlike the previous beta, which ran back in August 2017, everyone can try it for free. You don't need PS Plus. The beta will run until January 21st, but be warned if you want to play the game that it is an 18 gig file that you have to download. So not as big as Street Fighter V Arcade Edition patch, apparently. But for those who don't know, Dissidia Final Fantasy NT is a 3-on-3 fighting game, another group fighting game. 3-on-3 fighting game starring the heroes and villains from various Final Fantasy series. So, you've got like Cloud and I can't remember who else from the top of my head. Lightning is probably in there. It features 28 characters at launch, and an additional 6 characters will be released later, post-release as DLC. Square Enix hasn't revealed who the 6 fighters will be, but they're included in the game's Season Pass, of course. Season Pass is a thing, which players will receive with the Final Fantasy NT Digital Deluxe or Ultima's Collector's Editions. So if you pick those up, you also get the characters, which is, is a thing. I don't know how I feel about the whole characters being announced as DLC before a game is even out, to be honest. I feel like it's a bit of a rort. It makes me kind of uncomfortable as well that, we've hit the stage where devs or publishers are like happy to announce a DLC package or like characters for a game before it's even out, And I would say that the way Capcom has handled it with Street Fighter V is a little bit better. I can understand, having seasons to actively make people interested and maintain people's interest in the game as time goes on, like that's one of the hardest things to do for a developer. And I think seasons is a good way to circumvent that. But I feel like it's a little bit different when you're like, our game's coming out soon. Also, we have 6 characters coming out as DLC right afterwards. It's like, but the game's not even out. Like, it used to be that I remember a time when DLC was something that was announced like way after the game was released, and everyone's beaten the game or whatever and had their fun with it, and like, publishers are like, oh, our fans want something else to play now. Why don't we give them extra content in the form of DLC? And, this could also help us make a little bit more money to, I don't know, spend that on server infrastructure or whatever, like pay our team of developers who work so hard to make this game great. Or patch the game, like patching the game costs money for developers. It's part of the cycle. But yeah, I don't know. I think Capcom's done a little bit better. Obviously, having the option to purchase DLC characters using, a currency that you earn in-game. So you're essentially rewarded, like, with extra content the more you play the game. I think that's a really good way to do it. But everything else is kind of like, especially if it's like existing DLC on disc that you need to pay to unlock. But they've probably learned their lesson from that. That's, I am, of course, referring to Street Fighter Cross Tekken. That was a whole thing. Let us put that behind us and not think about that anymore. But that's just something to consider, I guess. I don't know if I'm comfortable with it, but I guess it's just the way things are now. Next up, we have NuckleDu announcing his free agency. The player said on Twitter that he had a great time with Team Liquid, but now he's, essentially a free agent and looking at other offers. So NuckleDu, of course, being the Capcom Cup 2016 champion, did really well at Evo as well. And he's just generally like a nice guy, and he's been doing a lot for the community, like trying to bringing other players over and sponsoring their trips to come compete in like overseas tournaments. I say overseas as in like overseas for them, enabling them to travel. So yeah, the timing for his free agency also seems about right. I don't know if a lot of you who are listening know, but a lot of pro player contracts run until the end of the year. So, I imagine his contract went up until like December 31st, 2017. And after that, he just became a free agent. And now it's probably like, looking at different offers and talking to people. But that's pretty much how a lot of these contracts run. Unless, you're in like, I say a more established esport where there are seasons like League of Legends or Dota where there's like roster locks and such, and their contracts run until like the end of the actual tournament season. But outside of that, I think most FGC people, they have their contracts run until the end of the year, which is why we're seeing players drop out. We had K-Brad announced that he finished his time with Evil Geniuses recently. Now NuckleDu as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a few more players kind of announcing their free agency. But it's either that or new teams have to buy out players from their existing contracts. So just like in sports, which I imagine is what Echo Fox did when they came in and swept up, all their players. Although, they did that announcement back in January. So it might have been, again, when the players' contracts finished up. So that's something to consider. But best of luck to NuckleDu. Strong player, really great. And I hope to see him do well this year. He was absent from Capcom Cup last year, ultimately did not attend for, personal reasons, but, I hope to see him come back strong in 2018. Next up, we have Street Fighter's Sagat named as ambassador of Saga City in Japan. I think that's fantastic. So Saga City is a place in Japan that's a popular tourist destination for tourists from Thailand due to lots of movies being shot there and then shown in Thailand. It's so it's not just named the ambassador city. Sagat wasn't just named the ambassador city for the place because, Saga with the T is Sagat. Yeah. So the partnership with Street Fighter includes special branded goods like seaweed and ice cream bars with the Street Fighter packaging, which is great. There's even stuff like Band-Aids with like the loser face from Street Fighter 2 of like, the characters all beaten up and stuff. Lots of cool things. So if you're in Tokyo right now for Evo Japan, you can check that out at a shop named Sagat Shoten in Ginza. You'll be there from January 22nd to 28th. And yeah, hopefully you're able to pick up some really cool Street Fighter goods. It's very limited edition merch, so go ahead and check it out. And we'll be right back after this break. There's a song I know. Boy, I haven't heard that one in a long time. Hello, welcome back to 1-2 Punch. We have a little bit of time left. So, I'm your host, Zorine. I just wanted to use this opportunity to say thank you for listening. If you want to reach out to us, we'd love to hear all of your feedback. You can hit us up on Twitter at Esports Network, or you can hit me up at Zorine, that's at Zorine, or you can tweet with the hashtag 1-2 Punch. I'll be checking it out. And I'd love to hear all your comments and thoughts. If you have any questions that you'd like answered on the show or any guests that you'd like to see in particular, we will be taking guests soon, hopefully, and that'll change things up a bit, hopefully make things more interesting. Let us know, especially for particular people that you'd like to see. As usual, we'll be talking about upcoming tournaments, new releases, general community news, everything to do with fighting games and the fighting games community. I want to talk about it, and I want to hear your thoughts on it too. So thanks for listening. We are here on a regular time slot, so 7 p.m. PST Pacific, or 10 p.m. for those of you on the East Coast, on the Fantasy Radio Network. We're available in a podcast format as well if you aren't able to listen live. We're going to be on Google Play, Spotify. We're now on YouTube as well as a video. So if you're watching on YouTube, hi everyone, you can see my face. We're also going to be on iTunes, so you can listen to us after the fact as well. Welcome all your feedback, and really looking forward to upcoming tournaments as well. Good luck to everyone who is traveling or has traveled to Japan for Evo. I know a few players have made their way over already from the West. Safe travels to everyone. Go and have fun there. Japan, Tokyo is a great city in general. I have been there a few times already. Loved, being there. Loved every moment there. Their fighting game community, of course, is amazing. They're all very friendly folks. The food is great. Go make us proud. But also really curious to see what kind of new talent will come out from Evo Japan, especially players from the Japanese side. But based on what I've seen already, a lot of people are having fun checking out the arcades there. I see people posting pictures. Really envious of you all there. Best of luck. But other than that, again, if you want to hear anything in particular, I'm here every Tuesday evening in your ear holes, or, you know, if you download the podcast throughout the week. Going to be here every week and talking about fighting games. 1-2 Punch. Yeah, sounds great. Can't wait. Also, if there's any other events that are coming up that you that TOs would like to, you know, talk about or have discussed on the show, feel free to hit me up. I'm open to, you know, listening to promoting anything to do with the community as well. Just want to see the FGC go to special places. You know, we're going to be great. 2018 is going to be a great year. We've got so many games coming out. We have Arcade Edition hitting up. You know, we have SNK, DragonBall FighterZ, oh my god, Dissidia, like all these cool fighting games. And of course we got the new, you know, Arc System Works game as well. There's going to be so much happening. Really excited to see how it all goes. And of course, Frosty Faustings 10 is happening this weekend. So if you're looking for tournaments to watch, that's something to keep an eye on. That's happening on Elmhurst, Illinois. They'll have almost every main fighting game there. Street Fighter 5, Tekken 7, MVCI, Injustice 2, like all the main fighting games will be there. So there's one to keep an eye on. And then we have Evo Japan on January 26th to 28th, taking place in Tokyo. So that might be a day ahead of us, just to be aware of the time difference there. But other than that, I'm your host, Zorine. Thank you very much for listening. I hope to see you all next week. Bye, everyone.